everyone, let's get straight to it, starting with the Zaporizhia direction. Here, the occupiers are clearly attempting to encircle our forces near Novoprokopivka and Verbove. However, we've managed to gain control of a territory with a width of 13 kilometers. Despite Russian effort, they haven't been able to cut off supply routes for the Ukrainian forces or access significant resources. Their main goal seems to be diverting our forces from further advancement. As we near the completion of this operation and the Ukrainian forces approach the final lines of defense, the operational spaces beyond become more accessible. It's nearly impossible to mine and defend almost 100 kilometers of territory effectively. Moreover, the paths the occupiers use to advance aren't heavily mined. Therefore, if the Ukrainian forces achieve a breakthrough past the main defensive line, they can move much faster. Currently, there is just a 9-kilometer gap between the front line and the start of the operational spaces. Beyond this point, even if some fields are mined, it won't be to the same extent as the initial front lines areas. That's why the Russians are attempting to strike on the flanks, realizing there are no significant fortifications there. Overall, we are waiting to see how events will unfold, but over the past day, there have been no changes along the front line. But before we continue, I'd like to ask you to share this video on social media and watch it to the end. It greatly helps promote my channel. Thank you. In the Vuhledar direction, the occupiers are holding their positions quite effectively. They have a main defensive line covering a whopping 10 kilometers. Today, they confidently control the gray area, particularly in the regions from Priutne to Zavitne Bazhanya and near Novomayorsk. Here, they've amassed a significant number of reserves and occasionally launch attacks to regain lost positions. These are not large-scale advances, though there have been no changes along the front line, but the battles for trenches and strongholds continue. Near Vuhledar, in the gray zone, active combat is ongoing. The occupiers are advancing from the village of Mikhailske across the fields. The Ukrainian forces are holding their ground, and as a result, the Russian forces are taking significant losses. There have been no changes along the front line in the past day. In the Kherson direction, shelling continues as before, and the Ukrainian forces are not conducting new offensive actions on the left bank, so the front line remains unchanged. In the Bakhmut direction, the Russians have increased the number of attacks and they've resumed attacks on the northern flank. They are attempting to break through from Dubovo-Vasilievka to Grigorievka, but they have made no progress in the past day, only incurring losses. Further south from Bakhmut, difficult battles continue in the areas of Klashivka and Andreevka, so the occupiers are peacefully holding their ground, but are suffering significant casualties and continue their attacks. In the Avdiivka direction, the situation is escalating somewhat. Despite a lack of significant Russian activity around Avdiivka, battles are ongoing further south in Marinka and Krasnohorievka. According to a recent report, they have managed to take control of a stronghold in the Krasnohorievka area. Shelling continues both along the front line and in the rear of the Ukrainian forces. Not all of these incidents are marked on the map, but in reality there are quite a few attacks happening daily. In the Kremina and Siversk area, there is a suspicious calm. The occupiers are conducting a small number of shelling, and no attacks are being reported. In the vicinity of Svatove, shelling continues. Novoyegorivka and Novoselivske remain under the control of the Ukrainian forces despite all attempts by the Russians to capture these villages. In the Kupiansk direction, there is also a calm situation with no attacks or minimal shelling. The Ukrainian forces are not conducting a major offensive in this area, and at the moment, despite expectations of a continuation of a successful advance. Therefore, the front line remains unchanged in this region. It should also be noted that yesterday evening, the Russians launched another missile strike on Ukraine. This time, Kremenchuk was affected, with 15 people wounded and 1 person killed. Additionally, there is daily information regarding the ATACMS missiles. Initially, President Biden stated that ATACMS missiles wouldn't be transferred, but later in the evening there were statements suggesting that Biden mentioned the transfer of the first batch of ATACMS missiles to Ukraine. The exact timing is not available, so we are waiting official statements. Illustrations have already appeared online depicting the potential impact zone if Ukraine begins to use these missiles. As we can see, the range are significant. Meanwhile, in Crimea, the situation remains far from calm. The armed forces of Ukraine have officially confirmed a strike on the headquarters of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. According to the Strategic Communications Department, the target was successfully hit in the attack. Russian media report that one Russian soldier is still listed as missing after the attack, which resulted in a building in Sevastopol catching fire. At least one missile hit the headquarters, and Russian officials have reported that another 5 were intercepted. The decision to supply missiles of British and French production, also known as Scalp missiles, was one of the most significant calls by Western countries during the war, with concerns that long-range weaponry could be used on Russian territory. As we can see, it has been effectively utilized, and videos of the strikes are already appearing on the internet.
That is the sound, I think, of anti-air. Anti-air right above me there. In the middle of Sevastopol right now. It's a bizarre scene. People are just swimming down there. People with kids just enjoying the beautiful harbor. And above us, the anti-air missiles are exploding in the sky. Sevastopol is currently under attack.
Additionally, yesterday, Zelensky and Trudeau met with representatives of the Canadian business community in Toronto to discuss investments in Ukraine. Zelensky expressed gratitude to Canada from the assistance Ukraine receives and emphasized the importance of implementing post-war recovery projects in the country. The president added that Ukraine is interested in attracting representatives of the Canadian business community and benefiting from their work, businesses, and technologies.
I am so glad to be here on the Parliament Hill with President Zelensky. 18 months ago, Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine began, and Canada was there from the very beginning with military, humanitarian, and financial assistance, and with sanctions against those responsible for this brutal war. Notre appui est inébranlable. Volodymyr, I can tell you right now, our support is never going to waver.
Thank you so much, Justin, and thank you to all Canadians for all the support. And Canada has always been among those standing with us. We feel your support that comes from heart, and we are grateful for it. Ukrainian community of Canada is an integral part of Canadian society. We are really proud of Canadian Ukrainians. They form a solid foundation for our special relations, our special bond. An ocean might separate our nation, but the main thing that there are no walls between us.
Volodymyr, in Canada, you will always have a partner, and in Canadians, you will always have friends. Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава. Пане прем'єр-міністре, шановні присутні, урядовці і канадійці, шановні журналісти. Сьогодні я разом з першою леді України, разом з нашою командою тут, у Канаді, аби особисто подякувати вам за всю надану Україні і українцям підтримку. І у час цієї війни і у різні інші часи наша держава і наші люди отримують від Канади лише повагу, лише прагнення допомогти, лише довіру. І, будь ласка, знаєте, ми цінуємо таке ставлення, ми дуже вам вдячні, Україна обов'язково буде це пам'ятати. І коли ми переможемо, а ми обов'язково переможемо, знайте, це буде наша спільна перемога з Канадою, з усіма нашими партнерами, з усіма друзями, з усім вільним світом, який вільний, бо є нації, які віддано захищають свободу і життя. Дорогі друзі, для мене було честю звернутися сьогодні до парламенту Канади і Дякую, це вже вдруге. Але сьогодні це було офлайн, як то кажуть, вживу, наживо. Україна вдячна, що увесь політичний клас Канади, партії, лідери підтримують наших людей, нашу незалежність. Дуже тепла зустріч була і з пані Мері Саймон, генерал-губернаторкою Канади. І, звичайно, продуктивні, хороші переговори з Джастіном. Я тобі особисто дуже вдячний. І прем'єр-міністр зі своєю потужною командою завжди нас підтримують і нам допомагають.
That's all from me. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.